All right, guys. So obviously, welcome. This is our motivation accountability seminar. So basically, we're going to be going through motivation, what is it, how to stay motivated, and why you can't rely on motivation to get results. And then we're going to go through accountability, same deal. What is it, and how that affects your success or getting the results that you want to get. If you have any questions throughout the seminar, obviously just give me a hoy and I'll answer your questions. I'll run through everything and then we're going to get Dan to jump in and he's going to tell you about his story from his weight loss journey and how he got from where he was to where he is now. All right, so what is motivation? So motivation refers to, technically speaking, the psychological state or process that drives an individual to take action towards achieving a goal. So it's basically everyone's felt that little like surge of motivation where you want to achieve something. That's what motivation is, where you've got that, oh yeah, I really want to do X, or I really want to get to X. All right. There are two main types of motivation. You've got your intrinsic motivation and your extrinsic. So your intrinsic motivation is like internal motivation. So that's where like your feelings within of that's what you want to do. Whereas your extrinsic motivation are the external factors. So rewards, recognition, or fear of punishment. Obviously, in terms of like your health and fitness or in terms of like the studio, you never have a fear of punishment. But something in terms of fear of punishment for your motivation could be, if I don't lose weight, the doctor said I'm going to develop diabetes. So that's in terms of fear of punishment, not that it's punishment, but that's still a fear, right? Like when you have your surge of motivation, there's always a reason as to why it's come, whether it is an intrinsic factor or an extrinsic factor, okay? Motivation plays a crucial role in our behaviour and our decision making. So everything that you do, if you're in a motivated state, everything that you do is basically you're working towards that goal or towards whatever that motivation is wanting you to achieve. All right. Why you cannot always rely on motivation to save the day. All right. So we, in the fitness industry, we always hear people say, oh, I'm not motivated to do X, Y, Z. I'm not motivated to work out. But the thing is, motivation is basically like any other feeling where it will come and go and you'll have those ups and those downs. So if you constantly rely on motivation to work out or to eat healthy or to progress towards your goals, it's not going to work because as soon as you're not motivated, you won't do it. All right, so you can't always be like, I need to be motivated to do X. All right, you have to understand that motivation comes and goes. Some of the reasons why you can't always rely on motivation, all right, you've got goals require ongoing effort. All right, so regardless of your goal, there's always going to be some sort of effort that you have to put in to achieve it. All right, and when your motivation is really, really hard, that effort seems pretty easy. But as soon as your motivation drops back down again, that effort seems like 10 times harder. All right. So you have to understand that whatever your goal is, there's always going to be that effort. And while it may feel easy or hard at certain times, there's still going to be effort. All right. So you need to develop the discipline and create habits to maintain that effort even during the hard times. All right. Self-discipline is key. So motivation is great to get you going. So usually that's that kickstarter into whatever goal that you want to do. But being self-disciplined to do what needs to be done is what's going to take over when your motivation is low. So understanding that regardless if your motivation is low, you still need to do X, Y, Z to achieve X, Y, Z. Constant distractions and obstacles, all right, there's always going to be something in your life that pops up, always. No one ever has a perfect life 24/7 without some challenges that comes through. So again, when your motivation is super, super high, things seem really easy, but as soon as you get hit with a roadblock or get hit with a challenge in your life, generally speaking, your motivation will drop low, and you have to understand that to navigate through these challenges, you have to be able to have that self-discipline and just do what needs to be done. All right, you cannot consistently say, I've got X in my life, so I can't do X within reason. All right, there has to be that thought process of regardless what comes into my life or regardless of the distractions or obstacles in my life, I can still do what needs to be done to reach the goal that I originally wanted to reach. And then lastly, motivation levels can fluctuate, which I've already touched on. So it's not a constant state and it can be influenced by things such as mood, energy, and circumstances. The main point about this that a lot of people find is your energy levels or if you're tired. As soon as you get tired, your motivation slumps. As soon as you've got a lot of energy, your motivation pumps back up. Yep. So that's just a clear example of how motivation changes or fluctuates even like day to day. So we're going to go into some simple tips to increase motivation when it's lacking. Just understand with this that with your motivation that You can do little things to increase it, but as I've always said, you can't rely on it, all right? So even if you do put these like little tips into your daily or weekly lives, you cannot be like, I'm gonna do this little tip, my motivation is gonna come back. That's not the way it works. It's more, I'm gonna do this little tip, which is gonna get that motivation ball rolling and hopefully get me back out of that motivational slump. So the first one that we got is set clear goals, big and small. So obviously you have your big goal for whatever you want to achieve, whether it be weight loss, running, whatever it is, all right? But then break that big goal down into smaller goals. So if your big goal is, I want to lose 10 kilos, all right, and you're super, super motivated to do it, and then week 2 you get in and you're sore and you're tired and like, I don't know, something happened on the weekend, whatever, and your motivation drops, that's when you just have to set the small goals to still reach that big goal. So that week you might be like, all right, I'm going to work out 4 times a week and I'm going to hit my macros every day. And by just having those small goals breaks it down, right? And regardless if your motivation is still low, as long as you're hitting those small goals, that motivation will come back because you'll feel empowered by it. Second tip is to find your why. All right, so everyone always has a reason for why they want to achieve whatever they want to achieve, all right, and understanding why you want to do it is really, really important. You can just say, I want to lose weight, but we like to ask, well, why? Why do you want to lose weight? What's the reason? Why is it important to you? How are you going to feel when you get there? How are you going to feel if you don't get there? Really digging deep and understanding that real deep reason as to why you really want to achieve X is going to keep driving you forward even when you've got no motivation. Reflecting on it daily obviously helps as well, all right? So especially when motivation is really, really low, if you then go back to, I want to achieve X and this is my reason why, usually the emotional factor comes into it and you'll feel more empowered by it. All right, next tip we've got is celebrate small wins. So the small wins add up to the big wins. So this comes back to setting those small goals as well. So if you can get through the day doing what you need to do, get through the week doing what you need to do, weeks turn into months, all right, then months reach that end goal. Surround yourself with support. So having a support system such as a Fit for Life community makes a big difference. So things like finding a workout buddy or chatting to a friend. So again, when your motivation is low, knowing, for example, that you can come in here and there's going to be a group of people here who are going to cheer you up and you're going to have fun while you're working out and making you forget that you feel pretty like crappy, all right, that's going to be the big difference. And lastly is scheduling your workout and plan your meals. So this comes down to those small goals and those small wins again, all right? So scheduling your workout so you know this week, this is what I have to do, all right? And then regardless if your motivation is high or if your motivation is low, you've just got that schedule. So you don't have to think about it. So if you're having a crap week and you're not feeling motivated, just being like, I don't have to think about it. I go exercise here, I eat this meal. And it takes any thought processes out of it, which means that you cannot then backtrack later, all right? Just don't think about it, you just do it. How to stay on track when motivation is lacking, all right? So number 1, reassess your goals and reflect on your goals. So what we touched on before, if you're lacking motivation, go back to what is your goal and why, all right? Why do you want to achieve this goal? Get that emotional response happening within you of why that goal is so important to you. Number 2, rely on the habits and routine you have built. All right, so as I say to a lot of clients, when your motivation is super, super high, and it's usually when you're starting out on a goal within the first 1 week to 1 month, that is the time when you want to set in those routine and the habits so that when your motivation drops back down, you literally are just on autopilot and you go. All right. So for example, for me with my triathlon training, when I'm really, really motivated and I hit all my sessions each week and I feel really, really good and I'm great, as soon as I start getting a little bit tired and my motivation slumps and I just can't be bothered, it's just a matter of just get up, get your session in, eat your food and get it done, right? And then usually if you just keep to that routine for 1 or 2 weeks, you'll find your motivation comes right back up again. Yep, so use those habits and use those routines that you built when you're feeling really, really motivated to help push you through the hard times. Number 3, just start. Sometimes you just have to take this first step. I say this to you guys a lot when people come to me and they say they're not motivated. I'm like, cool, just come and do 1 session. Do Monday morning, Monday session. If you feel like crap after that, sweet, have a couple of days off, don't worry about it. But I guarantee if you just take that first step and you just do that first workout for the week or the first workout, getting back into some time off, it'll snowball effect and you'll keep going. So you just have to start. Same with things like healthy eating. Just start with 1 day of healthy eating or start with 1 day of not binge eating or something like that. that will then snowball on because you'll start to feel better about yourself. You have those mini wins, you start to feel good, you feel empowered, and it will keep going. And then your motivation comes back up again. Number 4, set mini goals in each week. Touched on that before about your small goals or your small wins. Number 5, find inspiration. So sometimes it's really good just to talk to a friend about it and someone who inspires you. Read a novel about like someone's journey or someone's story, or read about a transformation. So if you know that you want to get to X and you know that someone's done it before, read about them, talk to them, whatever. Talk to them about what they went through. Talk to them about how they feel now they've achieved X, all right? And that usually gets your motivation going. Number 6, recognize what you've achieved so far. So a lot of people tend to reflect on where they're going, not where they've come from. So if you're halfway through your weight loss journey and you're like, man, I've still got like 5 kilos to go, but you're forgetting about the 5 kilos you've already lost. So really reflect on, and it might not even be weight loss and you might not feel that you've made that much progress, but if you've done what you need to do and put the steps in place, you have made progress regardless of whether it is exactly what you want to get. Whether it is you've built in the routine of working out or you've stopped eating a block of chocolate a night, all right? So you have to reflect on where you've come from to keep going as well. And then number 7, we've got identify why you lack motivation. So what's the reason? All right, so this is a lot of self-reflection here. So really trying to figure out why you're not motivated. Usually it comes down to being tired or being sore or not seeing progress, usually speaking, all right? And that's a very internal self-reflection of where you think you're at. Again, when a lot of clients come to me and they're like, I feel like I haven't made progress, I could like list off 10 things that they've done in the last like 3 weeks, all right, which has shown their progress. All right, so identify why you lack motivation generally helps figure out how to get out of that slump again. How does your mindset affect you achieving your goals? All right, so there's a couple of different types of mindsets that we can go on. So our first one is your fixed versus growth mindset. All right, so a fixed mindset is when you believe that nothing is changeable, you can't do it, nothing's going to change, and you tend to have that poor me attitude, like I can't do this because of this, or this isn't going to change because of this, or I'll never get there. That is a poor me attitude. The opposite of that is a growth mindset, is where you think, yes, I can do this, this is achievable, I can do what I put my mind to, I can achieve X, Y, Z. All right, obviously in those two, you want that growth mindset. So if you find yourself saying things like, I can't do this or this isn't possible, that's a very fixed mindset where you're not seeing the whole picture that really, within reason, anything is possible. All right. So if you find yourself thinking that, you need to switch those your thought processes around that. All right. Number 2 is scarcity versus abundance mindset. So a scarcity mindset believes that there isn't enough to go around and you've got to compete with others, whereas an abundance mindset believes there is enough to go around and you can share resources and opportunities. So this also comes back to feeling like you're competing with others and not celebrating successes with others too. So if you have a scarcity mindset, that tends to brings up like the jealousy side of XYZ is doing that, I can't do that because they're doing that. Whereas the abundance mindset is more like XYZ is doing that, I can do that too. How can I celebrate my successes with them? And again, that also comes down to being able to appreciate other people's wins or other people's achievements, regardless of yours. And then the last one, which is probably the most obvious one, is your negative versus positive mindset. So the negative always focuses on the negative outcome of any situation, which leads to a lack of motivation, depressive symptoms, and helplessness. Whereas obviously the positive believes that there is positive in everything. So on any goal or pretty much any day, really your focus should be a positive mindset. So it should be seeing the good in everything, seeing like the positive situation in every challenge. And pretty much if you have that positive mindset every day, you can literally achieve anything. You can do anything. How having a positive mindset can help you reach your goals. So 1, it increases motivation. So if you believe you can do something or believe that you are good enough, you're obviously going to be able to achieve your goals because you know that you can do it. You've just got to do it. All right. Number 2, boost self-confidence. All right. that obviously comes into believing you can do something. You're going to feel more self-confident and more good in yourself, so you're going to do it. Number 3, reduces stress. So if you have a positive mindset, you don't tend to worry about the little things in life or the little setbacks. You just move forward. And number 4, it promotes healthy habits. So a positive mindset pretty much means that you'll start implementing healthy habits because you understand that you can do it. So how do you shift your mindset from the negative to the more positive growth mindset? So change negative thoughts. I touched on this before. Don't use the words I can't. Don't say I won't be able to. Immediately, as soon as you say I can't do something, you're automatically telling your body you won't be able to do it. So I say this a lot when people come in for exercise and they say I can't do 20 burpees in a minute. As soon as you say that, you're already telling your body that it can't do it, and you'll immediately feel sluggish. Like, it immediately affects your body and immediately affects your mindset. All right. The amount of times in my own training where I've been like, I'm so tired, I can't run the 5Ks I've got to run, and I start running and I feel like shit. Right? Excuse my language. Whereas if I'd flip that and then be like, yep, I'm tired, but I know I can run 5Ks, I've done it before. Generally speaking, you have a burst of energy, I can do it, I've done it, and you go do it. Yep. So flip your I can'ts to I cans. Number 2, surround yourself with positive people and environments. You absorb the energy of the people that you are around. Have you ever noticed when you're like with someone and they're a little bit like mopey, and then all of a sudden you feel mopey and you just don't want to be in that situation? It's exactly the same thing as that. So if you surround yourself with people who are positive and full of energy and full of like, yeah, you can do it, like cheerleaders, you will then feel more empowered. As soon as you start surrounding yourself with people who are like mopey and I can't do this and I can't do this and like complaining about things in life, you'll soon start to feel that. So really focus on how you feel around certain people. Number 3, practice gratitude. All right, so just being grateful of whatever you have in your life. All right, things aren't always going to be super, super shiny. There's always going to be challenges that come in the way, but there's always going to be something that you can be grateful about. The fact that you, like, this is really corny, but the fact that everyone woke up this morning, boom, be grateful that you're alive, right? The fact that you have the ability to exercise, to eat healthy, the freedom, that's immediately 4 things there that you should feel grateful about. And I know it sounds really, really corny because I know a lot of people speak about this right now, but as soon as you start forgetting about the things that you can or have, all right, you start going to more what you don't have or what you can't do. Number 4, don't dwell on the negatives of situations. All right, so try and find solutions. So as we said, there's always going to be challenges that come up. Don't dwell on what you can't do, dwell on what you can do in that situation. And I say this to a lot of people in terms of like health and fitness goals, that when a challenge comes up, don't dwell on the fact that you can't exercise for a week. For whatever reason, you broke your ankle, quick recovery, but you broke an ankle, can't exercise for a week. All right, I know, very quick. Focus on the fact that during that week, yes, sweet, you can rest more, you can focus on your nutrition, you can do a lot of stretching, all that sort of stuff, all right? So as soon as you flip your mindset to focus on the positive in every situation, you're going to be taking steps forward rather than stopping or going backwards. And then number 5, practice positive affirmations. Again, there's a lot of like hype about waking up and doing positive affirmations every morning, and I don't know if people do it. I don't necessarily believe in that, but again, that comes down to your inner dialogue, what you tell yourself. So saying things such as I can do X is going to be like I can lose weight, I can exercise today. It's going to reprogram your brain to think differently about situations. Personal example, things like me during any triathlon, this sounds really, really corny, all right, but during any triathlon that I've ever done that's been super, super hard, so my long distances and stuff on the bike, because I hate riding, a lot of the times I literally repeat to myself, you can do this, babe. And it sounds so weird, and I say that to you, I reckon, almost every session, but I literally repeat it. And I literally repeat, you got this, every time. And if I'm having like a tough run, I will literally say it with like every 10 steps, all right? And it's just that positive affirmation that I'm telling myself I can do it. Accountability. So accountability refers to the willingness to take on responsibilities for one's actions and be held accountable for the outcomes. So this means basically acknowledging where you are right now, what's led you to be where you are right now, and the habits that have been implemented that have led you to where you are right now. All right, so it can be very confronting because a lot of people don't want to take on the accountability of this is where I'm at right now and this is my fault. Fault's probably not the right word, but you get what I'm saying, right? Where you are right now is the reflection of the choices that you have made in the past, regardless of the circumstance, all right? In any circumstance, you have a choice, X or Y, Z or Y, whatever, all right? You have a choice of what you want to do. And where you are right now, whether it be your weight, your health, your fitness, Any circumstance in your life is a reflection of the choices that you have made in the past. So, why you need to take accountability for your decisions. Acknowledges the previous choices you have made, all right, which is what I've just said. Promotes a growth mindset. So if you have the willingness to acknowledge where you are and the choices that you've made, you are basically retraining your body to go forward in more of a growth mindset of this is what I've done, but this is what I can do going forward. The opposite of that is having that fixed mindset where a lot of people are like, this is where I am right now. This isn't my fault. I can't change it. Increases your motivation. So owning your decision obviously empowers you to change your behavior. If you acknowledge the behaviors you've done in the past, you're more empowered to change those behaviors in the future. As soon as you take the responsibility of the choices you have made, it means that you have the power to change them going forward, no one else. And number 4, leads to personal growth. So rather than hiding your head in the sand, you're taking responsibility, which leads to self-awareness and sense of direction. All right, and now we're going to go on to Dan's journey. So Dan's is going to come in. He's going to talk about when he was overweight, when he was younger, and everything pretty much he has gone through into now, including like tips of what he did to stay on track and all that. Come on in, sir.
I've never really spoken about my journey before. I've done a few Instagram posts here and there, but I've actually never spoken and talked about this in front of everyone. So my journey. So basically my weight has impacted me my entire life. From ever since I was a kid all the way up till I was 20 years old. My weight, I was always known as the big guy, always overweight. I hit a point of 120 kilos when I was 20 years old. So March 2021, I finally lost 29 kilos. I got down to 91 at my lowest. I never got that 90, never got under the 8s on the scales, but that's my next goal. Even when I was 15, I weigh the same that I do now. So that's pretty cool to know, and I'm the strongest I've ever been. All right, so what really got me started was, even though I started this journey in 2018, 2019, did a fundraiser for mental health for Beyond Blue. I did walk, run, jog 100 Ks. I didn't think about the physical aspect of losing weight. I thought about my mindset. I thought about how can I help people with their mental health, because we were all in COVID, we were all in lockdown. It was a tough time. And I just kept telling myself, I'm doing this for the better, I'm doing this for myself, and I'm also doing this for other people. I was listening to audiobooks and podcasts all about mindset and personal development, which is something I'd never done before. So I was there, changed my mind, doing something, getting out of my comfort zone, which helped me a lot. I reached out to health professionals, a dietitian and a personal trainer, who helped me out a lot. They taught me mindsets, they taught me about long-term success and not about those quick fixes. Creating a healthy relationship with the scales. People can feel that they jump on the scales and they look at the weight and they just mood, that comes down. As what Loz was saying, your mood can impact you, can impact your motivation. They can just give up. You might gain weight that week and you're frustrated and go, oh, why bother? Or you might lose some weight and go, hey, I'm feeling really good. So what I did was I'd weigh myself once a week only, and I'd try and do it somewhere it wasn't at home, because if I had scales at home, I'd be tempted to weigh myself every day to see whether I'm making progress or not. So I'd either go to the gym first thing in the morning, make sure I haven't eaten anything for my system, jump on the scales, quickly eat something, and then train. So my biggest one, creating a healthy relationship with food. I feel like a lot of people can relate to this. So it's learning to say no when you're full, and just because the food is there, how can you learn how to stay away? So there's something what I learned called hunger and fullness. So basically it's when there's a scale of 1 to 10. Now in 10 you are super full, you got the physical aches and all that sort of stuff. And you got to think about, before you're eating, your 1s and 2s where you're feeling physical pain, you're getting headaches, lightheaded, all that sort of stuff before you eat. So once you have your food, you want to sit around and think, all right, cool, wait about 5-10 minutes, about cool, I'm at a 5 and a 6 mark, that's where you're satisfied. That was a big one for me, learning about hunger and fullness and changing my overall mindset. As I said to you before, learning about podcasts, audiobooks, taking accountability to what I was doing. Even if I had a creative environment around me, supportive environment, I had to make sure I was one doing all the work. Was my progress linear? It was up and down all the time. I had my weeks where the weight was going up, and I had the weeks where the weight was going down. Sometimes just be week for week, you just fluctuate up and down. There was days where I could say bench 60 kilos for 10 reps easily, and there's days where I could do 60 kilos for like 3 reps. Like, I just had my days where it wasn't going to happen, and I can feel everyone can relate to this. So as I said before, listening to podcasts and audiobooks working on personal development and changing my mindset, finding and developing a new perspective and appreciation of the gym. So during my tough times, I learned that gym became my therapy. It was instead of going, I'm feeling sad, I'm not gonna go to gym or go for a run or something like that, I use exercise as my therapy and help with my mental health. I prioritize my mental health over everything. And I was lucky enough for me that gym was my way of dealing with what was going on in my mind. So creating non-negotiables. So this is similar to like your routine sort of stuff. You set, say, a few things. So for me, it was getting breakfast ready for the night before, getting a walk in or going to the gym, listening to a book or a podcast. So it's regardless of how your day went, knowing that you've done those things, you felt like you've had a sense of achievement. If you feel like, cool, I've done this, whatever happens for the rest of the day. Hopefully you get everything done. But knowing if you've had a crap day, you've done your non-negotiables, you're all right, cool, I can restart the next day. So focusing on discipline. The days where you really don't want to go to the gym or eat healthy, or you don't want to do your run or whatever it may be, they're the days that really count the most. They're the days that show your true colors. Like, all right, this is going to suck, but I've got to do this. I've got to put this work in and do what I have to do to achieve my goals. Your goals are just going to sit there. They're not going to tell you to go, oh, come on, let's go. The goals just sit there. If they get done and it gets ticked off, it gets ticked off. If it doesn't, it just stays there. Trusting the process. Has anyone ever heard this saying before? This is a really important one. This one has helped me so much. So every time I feel like I was down, I felt like giving up, I felt like throwing everything away, throwing the towel, I just had to keep telling myself, trust the process, trust about how far you're going. So say with the squat technique, you weren't happy with your form, or you had to use a box, or you had to use bands, you had to do bodyweight squats, you couldn't do your weights. You just had to keep trusting that process, because over time, those small habits, those small changes, they'll build up to your big success where you can squat back to normal, you can squat heavier than ever, and your form is better than ever. There's just little examples on what you can do. All right, consistency, same thing, being consistent. Say in your first month at the gym, you want to hit the gym 3 times a week. Great. So always be consistent. If we go, all right, we're going to start with, say, 5-6 days a week, go flat out, it tends to be, cool, we'll hit that first week, and that second week we go, oh, I'm feeling sore, I'm feeling tired, and we all drop off. I feel like everyone's had that situation. It happens to me multiple times. So start with small and be consistent with those, and then slowly increase an extra day at the gym or wherever it may be. So think about your vision. So you want to try and visualize what the long-term success is going to be, how you want to feel, the way you want to look, your why. This is, as Loz was saying, is really important. You got to think about, all right, why am I in this situation right now? Why am I pushing myself this hard? All right, keeping track of progression. So photos, they're brutal. They can be absolutely brutal. You can get photos taken of you and they think, oh, I don't like the way I look. Everyone on the phones now got like a secure folder or a lock folder where you can literally chuck in some photos, chuck in thoughts or whatever it is, lock it away, and then you need a password to open it up. What I do is, once a month, I'll take photos, lock it in in my secure folder, done. Don't have to look back at it until I'm ready to see some progression, until I'm waiting to go, all right, I'm not feeling good about myself right now. Let's look back and think, all right, how far have I come? So when did I have that click moment, that change? So for me, it was actually my career. I was in the trading industry for a fair few years. I wasn't happy in that career. I've always wanted to do fitness, but I always got told by other people, maybe not, not for you. And until I got to that point where I've gone, you know what, I'm changing this. And I knew that if I wanted to make any success in this industry, I knew I had to change. That was my moment where I've gone, all right, I've got to make this happen. If not, I'm not going to be able to succeed in what I want to do. My setbacks, my accountability, that was my big one. I had to just keep myself accountable for anything that came in my life, whether it be a heartbreak or a frustrated with my career or anything like that. The way I was feeling about myself, I had to go, come on, let's go, let's move. You're the one. Any food that was put into my mouth, that was my accountability. That was my actions. I had to be responsible for anything like that. Building habits. As what I was saying before, it's important to build those habits. So when things get tough, you can just fall back on those habits. So for me, it was like my hunger and fullness. It was getting my morning breakfast going. It was just going to the gym, making sure I got my mind treated, got my therapy in. those sort of habits. That's what you want to do. Consistency, again, never miss 2 days in a row. So you create a habit, you miss 1 day, make sure you're back on the horse the next day, because the habit will break. That's a really important one here, because you hit the next day, you miss it, you go, oh, I'll go again, I'll try again, and just keep snowballing down. Success is not an accident. Success is made up of 1,000 tiny choices you make every single day, and that's very true. I had to learn how to go, no, I'm not going to eat this, I'm going to do my own thing. Even I had to buy my own food, even if I was still at home, I still buy my food, cook all my meals, whatever it had to be, I just had to do all the work.